Ruphas Mafahl, the black-winged overlord and leader of the 12 stars of heaven, has been defeated. Years later, a man wakes up in her body, 200 years after her downfall at the hands of the 7 heroes. But the game world he once knew as Xgate is no longer ruled by humans, and it's no longer just a game. It has become a living world where every character thinks, feels, and breathes just like him. Our story begins with a young Ruphas swearing to grow stronger and eliminate injustice. As she matures, that determination transforms her into a conqueror. Eventually, a group of heroes gathers to take her down. The battlefield is fierce, with corpses scattered everywhere. They believe they have her cornered, but she strikes first, taking down one of them in an instant. An archer tries to snipe her, but she easily blocks the shot. At that moment, a bear-like hero charges, only for Ruphas to block and send him flying, knocking out the archer too. Another hero, a tanker, attacks head-on, but Ruphas pins him down. It turns out to be a trap. Another hero attacks with magic from behind. Ruphas counters, but it's revealed as an illusion by the hero mage. Despite their efforts, the hero is pierced through his chest. Refusing to die quietly, he unleashes his climax skill. Ruphas tries to evade, but he grabs her hand and strikes with the skill. The mage then casts a subspace seal. The heroes gather to witness Ruphas's final moments. She commends their victory, expressing belief that they can now defeat the Demon King. ORM, before being sealed, resulting in her defeat. But the truth is, Ruphas was originally a game character created by a shut-in loser. One day, he receives a strange notification from the game's goddess of creation, Allovinus. Thinking it's an official message because his character became a boss rivaling the Demon King, he accepts it. His screen goes black, and when he opens his eyes, he finds himself surrounded by strangers. Assuming it's a prank, he looks down, noticing breasts and confirming his male anatomy is gone. Checking his reflection, he sees Ruphas's exact likeness, complete with black wings. Convinced he's dreaming like the loser he is, he decides to ask the people in front of him for clarity. But when he opens his mouth, a powerful pressure slams them to the ground. Despite only wanting to ask a question, Ruphas's overlord-like speech overwhelms them. She mocks their pinned-down state as their standard posture. He tries to calm the pressure, but speaking again only intensifies it. After much begging and effort, he stops the skill point. One of the people, an elf, seems to recognize her. Ruphas demands he explain the state of affairs, but he passes out from fear. When he wakes, he reveals it's been 200 years since her sealing, and the Demon King is still alive. They used Xgate to summon a hero, accidentally breaking her seal. Overjoyed at being reincarnated in his beloved game, Ruphas tries to ease their fears, but they're too terrified. She reassures them she's not here to cause trouble, declaring she's no longer an overlord but a young girl eager to explore the world after 200 years. She tells them they can summon another hero if they wish, then flies off, thrilled to see what Xgate has become. From high above, the view is breathtaking. But one thing stands out, a colossal tower piercing through the clouds. She instantly knows where her first destination lies. Xgate is an online fantasy game set in Midgars, famous for its war system where players engage in PvP and winners conquer nations. Its novel system publishes character stories as official history. Ruphas was the strongest character, conquering all of Midgars for the first time in game history, making her a semi-official character. Bored as the sole ruler, he negotiated with other players for a war between Ruphas's forces and the heroes, resulting in the game's greatest battle. Ultimately, Ruphas was defeated and sealed in a subspace. Now, she heads toward the Sky Tower of Mafahl, her old base. Inside, the halls are empty, the throne room covered in dust. Sitting on her throne, memories of her former companions resurface. Then, out of nowhere, a flashback hits her. Two of the heroes who once fought her appear in her mind, before she can make sense of it. A young girl approaches, overjoyed, rushing to Ruphas's side, claiming she's waited 200 years. Ruphas doesn't recognize her. The girl, Dina, introduces herself as Ruphas's loyal advisor. Ruphas remembers appointing a young girl as a backdrop NPC advisor when building the tower. Confused that an NPC gained self-awareness and waited for her, Ruphas apologizes for forgetting someone so loyal. She confides in Dina about her broken seal. Dina reveals the kingdom of Levitian broke it, rumored to be preparing to summon a hero. Ruphas orders Dina to brief her on events since her sealing. Dina explains the 7 heroes who defeated her founded their own nations, but 4 have died of old age. Ruphas wonders if the remaining heroes are players like her. Dina drops a bombshell. The 12 heavenly stars are alive. These unique, powerful monster NPCs were bestowed the title for their strength. But Dina adds that 2 of the 12 joined the demon lord to avenge Ruphas. Ruphas is disappointed in her subordinates for joining the demon lord, even if it was to avenge her. Ruphas declares they'll journey to gather the 12 heavenly stars and investigate if the remaining heroes are players. Dina informs her that the first star they can find is Ares the Ram, who is currently at war with one of the 7 heroes, Migres and Svel. Ruphas spreads her wings, ready to depart, but Dina stops her. They need preparation and, more importantly, money. After waiting 200 years, they don't have a single penny. Ruphas suggests raising funds. Dina notes her appearance, especially her black wings. A curse among the heaven-winged is too recognizable. Ruphas scoffs, doubting anyone would remember her after 200 years. But Dina calls her naive, pointing out Elve's long age and her face is still fresh memories. Dina suggests adventuring, as it ignores identity or background. Ruphas agrees, liking the idea. They head to the bustling trade city of Idalir, with Ruphas hiding her wings under a cloak. The disguise ironically draws even more attention. Inside the Adventurers Guild, nostalgia hits her. It feels like the old days. Dina recalls Ruphas's past as an adventurer, and Ruphas laughs it off, muttering about the good old days. They head to the quest board. Dina picks a quest to find lost cats for 200 EL, but Ruphas insists fighting is their forte, not searching. Dina then selects an orc extermination quest for 1500 EL. Ruphas recalls that in the game, killing orcs yields a 3% chance of dropping orc meat, which boosts max HP. They reach the village plagued by orcs. The village chief explains the situation, and Dina reassures him Ruphas will handle it. At the orc den, Dina mocks their ugly faces, joking even the goddess sees them as failures and urges Ruphas to wipe them out. Before attacking, Ruphas checks her stats, all maxed, consistent with the game. Using alchemy, she crafts swords from the earth and takes out the guarding orcs. She feels grossed out by their corpses, but remains mentally unshaken. The commotion draws more orcs, led by their massive chief. The orcs attack, but their movements are sluggish to Ruphas. Realizing she doesn't need swords, she pops their heads off with ease. The orc chief, terrified by his fallen minions, attacks the ground randomly. Despite his efforts, Ruphas stands unscathed. A fire ignites on the orc's blood, and Ruphas notes the vast gap in strength and perception of time. The chief tries again, but Ruphas appears in his face, pats his head, and the orc felt like an ominous force was crushing him, causing his head to explode. For Ruphas, it wasn't even a battle. It was nothing more than a slaughter. After slaughtering all the orcs, Dina calls upon Ruphas and informs her that they got lucky this time. They found undamaged tenderloin. According to Dina, if eaten, it enhances vitality, the same as boosting HP in the old game. She explains that they were fortunate to find undamaged ones, since orcs are constantly fighting among themselves. That makes the chance of obtaining intact tenderloin only about 3%. Hearing this, Ruphas improvises, saying that next time they should be more careful not to damage any. Dina smiles, promising that she'll cook it for her later, then teleports all the dead orcs to the tower for processing. Watching her work, Ruphas quietly mutters that Dina is far more useful than she initially expected. Once the battlefield is cleared, Dina suggests that they free the kidnapped women being held nearby. They move quickly, and the rescue goes smoothly. Dina breathes a sigh of relief when she confirms that none of the women were harmed in any way. Ruphas then casually explains that orcs are, in their own strange way, gentlemen. They take good care of the women they capture, hoping to win their affection rather than harm them. That revelation completely shocks Dina, who finds it hard to believe, since their faces don't exactly match their supposed personalities. But even so, the women remain terrified of them. And Ruphas concludes that humans and orcs simply cannot coexist, that TO makes sure they won't return. She uses alchemy once again and recreates Hrungnir's right arm, smashing the entire orc lair into dust. The ground trembles, and nothing remains but rubble. After that, Dina proposes erasing the women's memories so they won't have to live with the trauma. Surprised by Dina's skill, Ruphas asks if such a thing is really necessary. Dina replies that it would be best. They shouldn't remember being kidnapped by pigs. Ruphas has no objections and asks her how much control she has over memory manipulation. Dina answers calmly that if she feels like it, she can even implant false memories or entire personalities. Hearing that, Ruphas nods approvingly, and the two prepare to head back to the village. That on their way, Ruphas creates a golem to carry them, sculpting it effortlessly with alchemy. As they travel, she asks why no one had taken out the orcs before, since the quest seemed so simple. Dina answers that compared to 200 years ago, the general standard of combat has declined drastically. Ruphas raises an eyebrow and asks what she means by that. Dina gives an example: the kingdom that summoned Ruphas, which is considered one of the strongest nations today. Then she asks Ruphas to guess what the strongest person's level is nowadays. Ruphas answers casually, thinking it should still be around level 1000 like in her era. But Dina's answer shocks her. It's only 120. Ruphas mutters to herself, realizing that in her time, there were many players who reached level 1000 just like her. Dina explains that Ruphas's era was an anomaly, filled with endless battles and powerful monsters. But now, there are no monsters that can reach level 1000 before dying. And since people only have one life in this world, they've grown cautious. They don't want to risk it all just to level up. That's when Ruphas finally understands the truth. This isn't a game anymore. It's reality. Back at the village, the rescued women reunite joyfully with their families. Ruphas and Dina receive their reward from the grateful villagers. The village chief approaches Ruphas, asking if it's truly all right to leave the golem with them. Ruphas assures him that the golem will protect them if orcs ever appear again. As they prepare to leave, one of the women asks for Ruphas's name. Before she can answer, Dina quickly steps in and introduces her using an alias, Svallo. Ruphas, clearly annoyed, stamps on Dina's foot with her heel in silent protest. The women thank them sincerely, unaware of the small quarrel. And Ruphas and Dina continue their journey. Now that they've earned enough money, they decide to begin their main quest, to find the 12 heavenly stars. Their first destination is the nation of Svel. Ruphas sets her mission clearly, to stop Ares the Ram, who's been attacking Svel, and as a side objective, to verify whether other players might still exist in this world. The ones most likely to be players, she suspects, are the 7 heroes, and one of them happens to reside in Svel. As they pass through the forest, the surroundings suddenly beam with light. Dina explains that it's mana. The land around them is overflowing with it because they're getting close to Svel. Finally, they arrive at the gates of the city, founded by the wise king Migres himself. At the entrance, guards request their identification. Ruphas freezes for a moment, realizing she has no ID. Before she can panic, Dina calmly takes care of it by providing one, an ID for a free trader unaffiliated with any nation. Once inside, Dina begins explaining everything about Svel. It's known as the City of Magic, founded by one of the 7 heroes, the elf Migres, who is revered as the wise king. Anyone aspiring to become a mage or scholar gathers here to study. As they walk through the city, Dina suddenly remembers that members of the heavenly winged tribe dislike mana-rich environments. But Ruphas reassures her, saying that she actually finds mana pleasant. Curious, Dina then asks what their next move should be. Ruphas bluntly replies that they should meet Migres directly. Dina instantly panics, fearing Ruphas' plans to storm the castle. But Ruphas clarifies that Ares is already causing enough chaos. They don't need to add more. Relieved, Dina suggests a quieter approach. Instead, Ruphas decides they should visit the library to learn what happened in the 200 years she was sealed. Since they're unfamiliar with the area, they stop to ask for directions. A mercenary named Gantz offers to take them there. Dina introduces herself as a free trader and mischievously introduces Ruphas as a suspicious person named Svallo, earning another painful heel stamp. Gantz laughs off the odd introduction, thinking Ruphas must have her reasons for such an eccentric getup. As they travel, Gantz explains more about Svel. He says the city used to have a larger population, But many people moved away ever since one of the 12 heavenly stars began attacking the region. Still, he reassures them that they're safe because the lake surrounding Svel is actually a giant water golem that acts as the city's guardian deity. Curious, Ruphas checks its status and is amazed by its level and HP. It's incredibly strong. For the current era, finally, Gantz leads them to a monorail station that connects to the Eastern District, where the library is located. Before leaving, he bids them farewell. As he walks away, Ruphas glances at his status and sees that his level is 82. For this era, that's actually quite high, which earns her respect at the library. Ruphas and Dina begin searching for records about the last 200 years. But instead of general history, Ruphas finds books specifically about herself. Confused, she asks Dina why there are works describing her death as a mistake and others that criticize the seven heroes' foolishness. Dina explains that Ruphas was never truly despised as she believed. In fact, during her rule, she overthrew tyrants and protected the people of those nations. However, humanity turned against her under the leadership of the seven heroes, ending her reign as a result. Once Ruphas was gone, the demon folk, who had feared her power, began attacking humans. Without her, no one could keep them in check. The heroes tried to resist the demons, but ultimately failed, and human territory continued to shrink year after year. Ruphas is shocked to learn that humanity's habitat has diminished so drastically, and that the world has fallen into such disarray because of her absence. Having found the truth she needed, Ruphas leaves the library and commands Dina to take her to Ares' castle. But before they can go, the ground shakes violently. An earthquake nearly topples the city. In the aftermath, Gantz rushes through the streets helping injured civilians. Moments later, an announcement echoes through Svel, summoning all mercenaries to the border with their gear. Meanwhile, Ruphas asks Dina how often earthquakes occur here. Dina replies that they're quite rare. That's when Ruphas reveals something unsettling. Ares has an ability that can cause earthquakes, implying that he must be approaching the city. Dina confirms it, sensing a powerful mana fluctuation from afar. Even Migres, from his castle, feels the disturbance. Dina suggests that they take the monorail to reach the border quickly, but Ruphas has a better idea. She uses alchemy once again and creates a massive bird-like statue to serve as transportation. As they soar through the air, Ruphas grows uneasy. Something about Ares feels off. Ares, one of the 12 heavenly stars, is a rainbow sheep who usually hates conflict. Even if he were seeking revenge for Ruphas, he wouldn't act like this. Suddenly, an unfamiliar memory flashes through Ruphas's mind. She can't make sense of it. Looking ahead, she sees what's waiting, a massive horde of monsters marching towards Svel. And among them, roaring in pure rage, stands Ares, the ram, one of the 12 heavenly stars. That wraps up today's recap. What do you think about this episode? Drop your thought in the comment. And if you liked this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you never miss the next one.